How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We're here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific 3 Eastern, Sundays 3 Pacific 6 Eastern. We got a lot to get into here on the show today. Mike Sempervive joining us as always. We'll take your phone calls, emails, text messages, and more on everything that has gone on over the last couple of days, everything coming up over the next few days as well. Obviously, tomorrow night is Raw, and it is a very, very big episode of Raw. Last week's show did a good number in the first hour. They brought up a bunch of folks from NXT. And great first hour, broke 3 million viewers, fell right back down to 2.4 million by the end of the show. Should be back up again this week as WWE has announced the return of Roman Reigns. He is going to give everybody an update on his health. And also, this coming Monday, Ric Flair's 70th birthday party. He had his 70th birthday party the other night in Atlanta, a surprise party, which apparently was a legitimate surprise to Ric Flair. And footage is up on the front page of WrestlingObserver.com. His worked birthday party is coming up on Raw, even though it is on his actual birthday, February 25th, Ric Flair's actual birthday. And so they're going to be doing something, and my guess would be that Charlotte is going to be involved, being the daughter of Ric Flair. And with Charlotte involved, Becky Lynch, I'm sure, is going to show up, ruin everything, get arrested, and perhaps the storyline will be that she is arrested, never allowed back, but Charlotte demands they allow Becky back for a fast lane match, where if Becky wins, she'll get a shot at Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania. There's a lot of ways they can go, but I think the big angle is going to be Monday night at Ric Flair's birthday party. We shall see. Also, we got some matches for SmackDown. Got notes on some departures from WWE, some hirings. Bruce Prichard has been hired to return to WWE. I'm sure you're shocked. And a lot of other news as well. So we're going to kick it off after the break. Stick around, everybody. Back in a moment with more Wrestling Observer Live. Back here on the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Phone lines are already ringing. 844-411-5411 is the phone number. 425-780-7566. Big things coming up on Raw and Smackdown this week. Raw, Roman Reigns returns. And the Ric Flair birthday party, which I'm sure will go awry. Unless anybody out there thinks they're going to do a birthday party for Ric Flair and everybody's going to just celebrate his birthday and there'll be a lot of smiling and then show's going to go off the air. I don't think that's happening. I've been wrong before. Also, the return of Roman Reigns, and yes, a lot of people are talking about this tweet here from Dave Goya in Hawaii, who had a photograph of himself on Instagram with Roman Reigns, and he wrote, "Had the absolute honor and privilege of having Roman Reigns train at Island Club and Spa during a stay in Waikiki. Very humbling for an athlete of his caliber to not only train here, but also speak so highly of our facility. Glad we provided a great space to help him prepare for his in-ring return." Oops.
Oh, my.
So it looks like Roman Reigns will probably be announcing that he's getting ready to return. Maybe the day will be WrestleMania. Maybe it'll be Fastlane. There was a triple powerbomb at the pay-per-view a week ago. Could mean a lot, could mean nothing. Guess we'll find out, but that's tomorrow. And then SmackDown. SmackDown, we've got Johnny Gargano versus Cesaro, Ricochet and Aleister Black versus Shinsuke Nakamura and Rusev, and a Daniel Bryan Kofi Kingston, contract signing. That's going to be very exciting. Any thoughts on any of this, Mike?
I can't believe that people would have needed that Instagram post or whatever it was to let them know that Roman may be coming back and there's good news coming. You usually don't announce him to be on Raw and an appearance on Good Morning America if something tragic is going to happen. So I'm assuming everything is going to be just fine, and I'm surprised that people have been so up in arms about this as far as WWE being exploitive and things like that. I don't, on the list of things that offend me about WWE, this one is way, way down on the list.
Let's go to the phones here. You're on the air. What's going on?
I have a question about what Dave Meltzer said about the Elimination Chamber event last week. He claimed that the reason why Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston after getting hit with the Trouble in Paradise was he was like doing a tribute to Pedro Morales because that was his gimmick when he was a wrestler in the 70s. I only saw him in the 80s, so I don't know if that's true or not.
What, losing to people via Trouble in Paradise?
No, kicking out of the guy's finisher and turning it into a reversal.
Oh.
What he said.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I didn't watch a lot of Pedro Morales, so if that's what Dave says. I guess that's the way it used to be. But I find it hard to believe, Ryan, that people were hitting their finishing move on Pedro Morales, and the ref barely even counted before he did a reversal. But I've been wrong before.
Well, that's just what Dave implied when you were talking to him.
He implied, you say?
Yeah,
right.
That's
anything else, Ryan?
what he said. I got a little bit confused on New Japan. Why do they have bodybuilder wrestlers in the junior heavyweight tag team division? And also, why doesn't Kevin Kelly know what happens to the referee when he gets knocked out for 2 minutes?
What do you mean? Why do they have bodybuilders in the junior heavyweight division?
Well, there's this guy. He's a bodybuilder. He has the best physique in the promotion. He's built like Lex Luger, and he's in the.
Who?
Ryan, let me ask you a question.
Who's he talking
Ryan,
about?
I don't know, but Ryan, let me ask you a question. Does Leo Rush have a great cut body and figure?
Not compared to this guy in New Japan. He's twice the size of Leo Rush.
Well, thank you very much for the call, Ryan. So the whole point that Mike is trying to make here is it's a weight division. So it doesn't matter what the guy's physique is. I mean, if he's absolutely shredded, and he's under 205, then he's a junior heavyweight. I have a small frame. If I got on steroids and if I put on 40 pounds of muscle on my frame, which is a freaking lot, I'm still under 205. So it's possible to have a bodybuilding physique and not be 205 pounds and thus be in the junior heavyweight division.
I really appreciate you going to his call so early in the show.
He called. It's on the line here. What do you want me to do?
Hey, you know what? This is what I want you to do. I want you to be open about the possibility that maybe, just maybe, tomorrow night on Raw, Becky doesn't ruin anything, and it's actually Charlotte, because it is Ric Flair, and it's as much as Ric Flair would love to get booed and he loves playing the heel, people love Ric Flair, and they will love him on his 70th birthday. And it is possible that Ric Flair could actually still be the babyface in all of this. Charlotte is the big heel who wants to overtake the entire night and make everything about herself. And it's Becky that comes out and saves the night. Somebody can still go in the cake, but maybe it's Charlotte.
Of course it could be Charlotte.
Or maybe it's Ric Flair by his choice because Becky excites him so much, he struts and he dives into the cake. Who knows
it
what
very
it is,
easily could be that. But the birthday party's being ruined one way or the other. Right?
So negative the way you say that Becky's going to ruin it.
She's going to ruin it.
The same way she's ruined the ratings in your eyes for that show.
I have never said that. She's going to ruin the party, though. And she should ruin the party. I mean, there's going to be a cake out there.
But she could ruin the party by saving the party.
Okay,
Charlotte
freeze.
Could be the big
what did you just say?
What?
Repeat what you just said.
She can ruin the party
exactly.
by saving the party.
It doesn't matter. You still said ruin.
That's because you want me to
Thank
say
you.
ruin.
Ruin the party. This person here says, and this, I cannot believe people are still on about this. Here's my take on the Mandy Rose-Asuka match from SmackDown. Match itself was very good. I like Mandy. I think she's improved leaps better than Lacey Evans. Well, that's true. Why did Asuka have to be pinned? Could Mandy not win a battle royal or some series of matches for a championship opportunity to get a women's championship match at Fastlane? Are we not supposed to protect our champions like Ronda Rousey has been undefeated on Raw? Yes, you have one champion who's been undefeated, okay? But it's for sure, it's not the end of the world that Asuka got pinned. Everybody's hung up on the fact that Asuka beat Becky at Royal Rumble, and now Asuka's been pinned by Mandy Rose. Well, I've been telling you for weeks now that this Becky Lynch pinning Asuka at the Royal Rumble, there was no point to it. They're not going to come back to it. It was a stupid thing they did to surprise you so that when Becky won the Royal Rumble, they had something there. Like, you can't... This is WWE we're talking about, everybody. It's not New Japan. It's not Ring of Honor. It's not Impact. It's not NXT television. It's Vince McMahon's Raw and Vince McMahon's SmackDown. And the idea that there's long-term planning, I mean, for crying out loud, they were rewriting Raw during the show on Monday. That ain't long-term planning. The show had started, the show was on the air, and they were rewriting it. So forget the Royal Rumble. So now you've got Asuka, you need a champion, you need a challenger for the champion at the pay-per-view. Forget the Royal Rumble. We're just starting over now. You need a champion for Fastlane, okay? Does anybody, except for like the weirdos, does anybody think that Mandy Rose has any chance of beating Asuka? No, okay? So what good does it do for her to win a random series of matches or a battle royal? If she does that, you still don't think she has any chance of beating Asuka. So because she's a weak challenger, the best thing you can do to build her up as a credible challenger is to have her beat Asuka. Now, she didn't beat her clean. There was a distraction finish there, but she got a pin over the champion to set up a championship match at Fastlane. It is not the end of the world, everybody. Why are we all freaking out about this? Like, we're looking for logic in Raw? We're looking for people to be protected on Raw? Like, I understand what everybody is saying in theory, but it's not real life. This is Raw we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? They're going to rewrite Raw tomorrow. During the show.
Probably.
So yes, it's okay that she got pinned by Mandy. It's not the end of the world. Crying out loud. She's the champion. She'll be happy Asuka's even the champion right now. Look at how long it took to even put the belt on her. Back in a moment, Observer Live. All right, I figured out what this numbskull's talking about here. So Ryan says, I believe the wrestler I was talking about that doesn't even look like a cruiserweight is Shingo Takagi. You're wrong, Ryan. It's Taiji Ishimori. I'm sure that's who you're thinking of. Okay? Ishimori is 5'4", which means he's 2 inches taller than Rey Mysterio. He's nowhere near 205 pounds. And as someone pointed out to me, in Japan, 220 is supposed to be the cutoff between heavyweight and junior heavyweight. So he is nowhere near 220. So that's why he's in the junior heavyweight division. It's also fake, by the way, so I'm sure that someday he can move to the heavyweight division and still be under 220, but just want to throw that in there.
Well, and Shingo in there with a guy like him, it's going to make Shingo look that much bigger. And yeah, Shingo is a little bit bigger than some of the other guys, but remember, he was in Dragon Gate. It's not like he was stomping in from wrestling in like Big Japan's big guy circuit.
He claims he's not talking about Shingo. Or he's not talking about Taiji. He's talking about Shingo.
He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
I don't think he does
anything.
Anyway.
For heaven's sake.
Shingo's not 220 either, so it doesn't even matter. All right.
That's how it used to be back in the day here. Back in the days where it was Nelson Royal and Mike Graham and Steve Kern and all of these other Lasertron people that were going after the NWA Junior Heavyweight Championship. 220 pounds. Such luminaries as Denny Brown.
Denny Brown,
yeah. That was a rough time. That's how you knew Dusty. With all of those titles that were floating around in the NWA at that time, they just didn't take that one all that seriously.
By the way, is there anybody else on the planet that looks at Shingo Takagi and thinks giant bodybuilder? I mean, no. He's a thick guy, but giant bodybuilder? Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, it's Paul in Barboursville.
Yes, Paul.
And have I got a story for you?
I can't wait.
As I mentioned the other day, I was sick. I was looking for things to watch, so I got caught up on the Women of Wrestling show on AXS.
Oh boy!
And I'm not sure if you've heard about this, but it appears that Tessa Blanchard is a murderer.
I did not know that.
Really?
Yes. They did this angle on the first show where she attacked Santana Garrett's father, who was on oxygen therapy. Santana Garrett then had to vacate the title because she was busy tending to her father and could not defend the belt, which...
This is how they changed the title?
Yeah. Tessa Blanchard then won a match against Jungle Girl for the vacant belt. No word if Jungle Girl was any relation to Jungle Boy. They seem to be having the same gift.
Could be his mother.
Yeah. So they had the big recap video of this at the start of this week's show. At the end of this week's show, they had an in memoriam, rest in peace graphic for Santana Garrett's father. So apparently, in paying tribute to this man who really did die, they have made Tessa Blanchard in the storyline a murderer.
Oh, that ring in the sky. He'll be there with Al Wilson.
Oh, I know.
Hey, and I'm looking, by the way, at I'm looking here at the Predator Jungle Girl. Definitely not Dude's mom.
Thought they might be, like his sister or his cousin or something. But yeah, this is a show with like a serious identity crisis. The wrestling is generally okay to good, but it can't decide if it wants to be a modern NXT-style wrestling show or a show like Glow or the old WoW, just with better wrestling. For instance, last week they had this countdown to UFC-style biographical interview segment with a Jessica Havoc, where she talks about breaking into the business and how women's wrestling used to be disrespected, but it is now. Thank you, David McLean. And then, like 10 minutes later, they cut to this character called the Disciplinarian, who is an evil wrestling school teacher that looks like she stepped out of, like, 1993 WWE Superstars to challenge the
Sure she's not a babyface?
No, she is not. She's an diabolical heel who has apparently pressured a young genius named Susan Smarts to become a evil wrestler.
A young genius named Susan Smarts?
Yes.
Paul, is this better or worse than Chikara in terms of characters?
I would say in some ways it's worse because Chikara is fairly consistent.
Sure.
Aside from when you have a guy like Eddie Kingston who's serious anywhere he goes, cutting promos there. This, it's all over the map. It has no idea what it wants to be. And the show is way overproduced. If you think there are too many camera cuts on Raw, have I got a show for you?
That's impossible, Paul. I want to thank you very much for the call. That's impossible. There's no way there's more camera cuts on WoW than on Raw. It's impossible. Somebody get me like the worst of WoW and then show me a Shield beatdown. I want to do some counting here. Now, I will say this. I mean this in the nicest way possible. I have nothing against WoW. I can't watch them. They've made it impossible unless you have access. I get zero feedback on this show. Do you understand what I'm saying? We get Paul, who just called, and that is the only feedback on this show that I've gotten since the debut episode.
Has Jim called in about it?
Nobody talks about WoW. Ryan, by the way, here. Ishimori is feuding with Naito, so Ishimori's in the heavyweight division. Bryan, are you following the product? Dude, Ishimori is the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion.
He's feuding with Jushin Thunder Liger.
Maybe he's watching Access and it's like 5 years behind or something. I don't know.
I have no idea.
Or he's out of his mind.
I don't know. You know what I was watching, and just as an aside here, tying loosely into that call from Paul because he brought up David McLean. I had a chance to see the Bruisers WWA wrestling from 1985.
Dude, that sounds awesome.
Or 1984. And it's like, I never had a chance. My holy grail for wrestling watching is some of the Sheik's country and wrestling, big-time country, big-time wrestling that was apparently some of the worst wrestling ever put on television anywhere in the world. So bad where tapes apparently have been burned and lost to time. Well, the only thing I can imagine is that type of wrestling combined with what Glow was, and David McLean was actually there working for Bruiser at the time. That's what some of these shows are like from the beginning of 1984. Right down to having the Palestinian terrorist who is smacking around the girl, and it is just, it's absolutely bizarre. And I think the only thing that may have come as a positive from any of these shows was the fact that Scott Steiner debuts at some point on them in that circuit and then is quickly gone out of there to something more successful.
This person here thinks that Ryan is mixing up Taiji Ishimori and Tai Chi.
Now, Taiji was wrestling with Naito and up there in that mix for the Never title and such, but I wouldn't think of him at all, ever, no way, not possible, as a bodybuilder.
And in fact, Ryan has sent me a link to Cage Match, and in fact, he has confused Tai Chi and Taiji Ishimori.
Glad we were able to put that one to bed.
Ryan, you're an idiot. This person here says, the WoW show is a fun, mindless way to kill an hour. Don't overthink it. I'm not overthinking anything. I haven't even seen it yet. I can't watch it.
See that link I sent you about Jungle Girl?
I haven't seen it yet.
She created the word endorphism.
Endorphism?
Endorphism.
Like she's got a bunch of endorphins?
I don't know. What she defines it as the point when we push ourselves past the point of physical exertion, and the endorphins take us over and transform us into a superhero.
Wow, endorphism.
So, yeah.
Man.
Her likes are her beloved family and working out in the gym. Her dislikes, excuses for not achieving peak performance.
Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's up?
This is Jim from Virginia. How you doing today?
Hello.
I heard you talking about my favorite subject, women's wrestling.
Yes.
What do you think of the new women's tag team champions?
Well, we'll see. We haven't seen anything yet, except for the match in which they won them, which was them winning them was good there at the end. Last 8 minutes was good.
Now, I heard you talking about Pedro Morales earlier. I actually saw Pedro Morales wrestle quite a bit in the old Jim Crockett promotions.
Really?
You know, up in the WWF, he was a big star, you know.
He sure was.
They brought him down to Crockett, and Crockett kindly used him as a mid-card or sometimes even jobber, you know. But Morales was a good wrestler all around. I seem like I remember he used to headbutt a lot when he won his matches.
Well, you got to remember, too, that like Crockett used Ivan Koloff, and he was like a mid or an upper mid-carder. He was a guy that beat Bruno.
But, Brian, the thing was, I think the difference was, like, Pedro seemed to be used more in, like, the Johnny Weaver role, where he would be teaming with, like, a young guy like Don Kernoodle and stuff like that, more at that level of, like, being the Mid-Atlantic tag champion, whereas Ivan Koloff was always kind of, when he came down there, he was always in the mixes, like, you know, in the U.S. title mix and certainly in the Mid-Atlantic title mix. Pedro wasn't used
Crockett.
That level.
He was also used that way in Crockett.
Well, yeah, I guess, you know, much later on down the line,
new dingbats and fighting for tag titles, yeah.
That's it. Later on, he was.
Keep talking about tomorrow night with Flair's birthday. I agree with Mike on that. Charlotte, remember last year what Charlotte was a year or two ago?
Well, actually, stand by. We got to head to a break. Stand by. Back in a moment. Observer Live. All right, let's go back to Jim here, talking about Charlotte and Ric Flair.
Oh, definitely. I see something happening there, and Becky being involved too. I kind of agree that with Mike again that it'll be something where Charlotte is embarrassing Rick and all this, that, and the other, and then Becky will come in and.
Didn't I say all of this like a week and a half ago? Something. I agree with you, Jim. Mike's right.
Yeah, I tell you, it's just. And, you know, everybody was so up in arms the time Charlotte humiliated Flair on Raw, you know, down to tears and everything.
Yeah. So I feel like they made up in between. Didn't they? Am I wrong about that, everybody? Didn't they make up after that?
They did sort of, kind of.
Yeah, I think they eventually got back together. Well, Jim, I want to thank you very much for the call. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
A little bit of a détente there, but feelings, there were still sensitive feelings there that were still raw and open. And apparently it's raw and open feeling that you have whenever anybody says, I agree with Mike, or I think Mike is right, that you will careen back and then, you know.
Well, I sat there till he said it for the fifth time.
I said it like last week. I mean, nobody listened to me.
I said the exact same thing 2 weeks ago. No one listened to me.
Yeah, right.
Even Dave a week ago said, not gonna humiliate Flair on his birthday. Then last night he was like, tomorrow that party's gonna be ruined. Exactly. Thank you. Now everyone's seen it my way.
He was much happier talking about Rick's actual surprise 70th birthday party celebration that was thrown for him. And some of the video has leaked out there of Rick in his glory with everyone around him. He will be that way until the time he is gone. Always in the mix.
844-411-5411 is the phone number. Phone lines are open. 844-411-5411. Give us a call. Got a match for the MSG show over WrestleMania weekend. ROH and IWGP tag team titles both on the line. Title for title. Guerrillas of Destiny versus Evil and Sonata. Guerrillas of Destiny. They defeated Evil and Sonata. And so it's Guerrillas of Destiny versus the Briscoes. All titles on the line at WrestleMania weekend. And don't have a full lineup for that show yet. But I was told this card is going to be stacked. So if you got your ticket and you're upset the New Japan guys, some of the, like the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, etc., are not going to be there, heard it's still going to be an awesome show. So we'll see. But that is the newest match added to that show.
I would hope the show would be stacked. They're running Madison Square Garden, and they have two promotions that are pretty rich in talent, to work with. It better be a big show. It better be treated as if it's their biggest show ever, because it is. So let's see what they do. But yeah, there's a lot of pressure on them right now, as well there should be. And they have enough horses to get them there and to be put in good positions. Let's see if they are.
Person here says, any more details on the departure of Arn Anderson? Not really. Something happened at a house show, and Vince didn't like how Arn handled the situation, and the disagreement led to the firing of Arn. That's the story. Maybe more details will come out, but that's what I know right now. Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's going on?
How you doing today, Bryan and Michael? How you been?
So far, so good.
I got a question for you, man. I'm going to kind of be honest with you.
I hope so.
What is up with the WWE booking? Why they trying to be WCW? And what is up with speaking? And I like this easy segue. What's up with them hiring Bruce Prichard and not trying and hiring Bruce Prichard as quote unquote going to be the right hand man? Where Vince McMahon is still doing backwards WCW style book in 2000 and 2001. I'm confused. I look at the show. They make NXT OVW 2004, and I'm just confused as hell. Can you just explain it to me?
Well, I want to thank you very much for the call, my friend. Oops. Just bang my watch on the table.
You all right over there?
So, yes, Bruce Prichard has been hired. And why? I don't know. But I do know that I have heard from people who have concluded that what Vince really wants right now is a yes man who's just going to tell him yes to all of his ideas. I mean, it's a very weird situation. I don't really know what's going on, but let's think about this. Who has been Vince's right-hand man? That's been Triple H. And, I mean, you could look at it and go, wow, he's gone from Triple H and he's decided to bring back Bruce Prichard. Like, that can't be good for Triple H. But you also have to remember that last week on the show, Vince had an idea for, I think it was Ricochet versus Finn Balor. And Triple H thought, that's a stupid idea. I'm sure he didn't say it that way, but, I mean, in his mind, like, that's a potential big match. Why would we just give that away for free? And he talked Vince out of it. So, Vince obviously is willing to listen to Triple H. It's not like he doesn't want to listen to the guy. But, you know, it may be a situation where Vince has got a lot of things that he wants to do, and he's got other people that keep arguing with him about it. And so what he really wants is a dude that's going to just tell him, yes, Mr. McMahon. Yes, your ideas are great, Mr. McMahon. I love that idea, Mr. McMahon. And he's got that in Bruce. I mean, Bruce he's been there before. Now, why he went back to a guy that was there during the early 90s, like that was a glory area for the company, that I don't know. I mean, obviously there were periods that were significantly better than that, like all of them. But I mean, I don't know. It's just weird. We'll find out what it means tomorrow and the next day, because I guess he's starting ASAP.
Can't believe that a powerful, rich, isolated 70-plus-year-old man would want a yes man around him and not want to hear what anybody else has to say. Yeah. Well, hey, here's one plus. Bruce is not stupid. And maybe if he can do any positive whatsoever, it's maybe try to bend Vince's ear. And obviously he's going to want to acquiesce towards him if this is the whole thing is about Vince wanting a yes man. But maybe, just maybe, he can try to help bend some things for Vince and try to bend him in ways more along the lines.
In what way?
I have no idea.
What does he know?
Hope here. I don't know, but still steering him, maybe telling him what he wants to hear.
We need more Mounties. We need more Papashangos.
No,
we need more Berserkers.
But taking something from what Vince is tired of hearing, maybe from some of these other people, maybe taking what those people are saying and putting it into words that Vince is comfortable with.
Well, these guys don't look like superstars. We need bigger dudes.
I know.
We need more blondes.
They lost the plot a long time ago. They needed changes a long time ago. They needed changes with how that show looks. A lot of different things. And underneath, they're doing that. You see of all the hires they've made, you see Triple H's influence, and you know nothing is going to be forever. But boy, it would be nice right now if they weren't going backwards in time and they were trying to move things truly forward. And just Vince is not allowing them to do that.
Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, boys. How you doing?
What's going on?
Good. Hey, my name is Jim. I'm in Portland, Maine. First-time listener, first-time caller, first-time listening to the show. You guys are awesome. This is great. But I have a serious question about All Elite and with Cody Rhodes and Kenny Omega and that group. At the moment, do you feel that they have enough horses, at least for now, or is this something that can rise? Would it also be possible, now that Arn Anderson is out at WWE, that they could kind of land him over there and take advantage of his services and his experience, with Flair and the old WCW days and the back with what they did with the Horsemen and all that stuff? Because it's possible he could land over there now as the next big sign.
Well, I want to thank you very much for the call and listening for the first time. Yes, I think obviously All Elite could do a lot with Arn Anderson. I don't know if they're going to immediately hire him. I think that they should. I think that Arn is a pretty smart guy. And you know what Arn is not, by the way? He's not a yes man.
No, he's not.
So he's no longer with WWE. But anyway, so I think it'd be very valuable for All Elite Wrestling. As far as their roster, I mean, for what they have now, they have a great roster. And that is they're running a show in May, and they're running a show in July. And right now that's it. So for what they have at this exact moment, they've got a great roster. Now, if they announce next week that we have a television deal and this station wants 2 hours weekly, then they're going to need more talent. But until that time comes, you don't want to be hiring a bunch of talent. Because A, you don't have the shows for all of the talent, and B, you don't have the money because you don't have the television deal yet. If they sign a television deal that is very, very lucrative, they'll have the money to sign a lot of guys. And long story short, I don't think they will be hurting for talent if they sign a lucrative television deal. But for now, I think they're fine. They got more than enough for All In 2, for Double or Nothing, and they got more than enough for the Jacksonville show. So I think they're fine.
With Bruce being, that's one thing too, no matter what you think about him or his ideas or anything like that, Bruce Prichard knows how to write and format and structure a traditional professional wrestling television show. And he was up there in the big time, and he knows what actually, again, forget about the ideas or anything like that, but as far as the nuts and bolts, he could be a guy that, in theory, could be valuable. Now, there's a lot of other guys out there as well, too, but him being off the table and back in WWE, I mean, that's another thing as well, too. I don't know if that's any of the reason that he's also there, But that could possibly be a reason that Vince decided, okay, well, now would be a good time, too, because why offer anybody else out if you can take them away again and take any advantage you could away from AEW trying to build a television show and starting something new?
All right, a couple of text messages here. This person says, the chances that Roman is Universal Champ after Mania, both Rumble winners, are not in singles matches for the title. Both Rumbles aren't in singles matches for the title. No, Seth is. Seth versus Brock. That's not a three-way.
Well, I think maybe if he says you're including... Could you do that and insert Roman into the mix? I don't know. Maybe that's what he's saying.
I don't think they're going to do that. No. I could see a deal where he helps Seth win the title. I mean, who knows?
Goes in with a spear and then Seth hits the curb stomp?
I mean, think about this. I mean, Roman doesn't need to be the champion, okay? I'm sure they'd like for him to be a big-time babyface champion, but he doesn't need to be the champion. Basically, he just needs to be back. Sell some tickets, bring some of the women back. So they have to know that Roman leaving in October to battle leukemia, being on a movie set in January, and announcing his return in February, like, when he first announced the leukemia battle, everybody thought there's no way this guy will ever be booed again, okay? But they have to know that him being back this quickly with the movie thing in the middle is going to get some people thinking that he was not really sick. Which, by the way, everybody, he was. So they have to know that bringing him back and immediately putting the Universal title on him is probably not a good idea. Bringing him back, letting him have some matches, don't shove him down everyone's throats yet, let him come back and build up some goodwill, then you can think about it later on down the road. That's what I do. This internet's trouble. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Back on the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. This person says, one positive on Prichard. He absolutely loves Matt Riddle. He has said on his podcast he would build a promotion around him. That means nothing. Do you know who loves everybody in NXT? Triple H. And what the hell has he been able to do when Vince gets his hands on somebody and decides he wants to do something with him? Like, look at all of the guys and women who have been called up to NXT, and guaranteed Hunter has loved all or most of them and wanted to see them pushed hard, and Vince just ruined them one after another. And Hunter can't do a thing about it once Vince has his mind made up. And you think that Prichard's going to go in there and say, no, Vince, we can't do this with Riddle. This guy's awesome. You're wrong. No, he's going to go, you're right. Guy's too skinny.
Oh, don't say that.
I'm just telling you, it's Vince.
What's up with his bare feet? He's not from the South Pacific.
Yeah, it's just Vince is going to make up his mind about everybody. And that's it, till he ain't there anymore. So just get used to it. What's so funny?
Nothing.
We're out of time, everybody. I hit my wall from Mike's comedy right there. Hey, we got a lot of great stuff up at WrestlingObserver.com. Vinny and I are going to be back later on tonight. Brand new Bryan and Vinny show. NWA World Championship Wrestling from the year of our Lord, 1988.
Look at him, Tony.
Yeah, we'll watch some other great stuff as well. Maybe we'll watch some of that Great American Bash, because I think the show's only an hour long, so we'll have time to watch some other stuff as well. So it's going to be a great time tonight. Observer Radio last night with Dave. Had some great Observer Lives over the last couple of days. Got great stuff coming up tomorrow. And that is it, everybody. Going to wrap it up from here. Thanks, Mike, as always, callers and listeners over to the studio. Talk to you again next time at WrestlingObserver.com. Wrestling Observer Live.